Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Going Rounds podcast, episode 91. I am, I am here, but I am not here. I, I got a lot going on right now. In about 4 or 5 minutes ish, I need to check in for my flight because I'm going out of town tomorrow night. So I'm leaving 7:05 tomorrow night, and I need to check in for my plane because I'm an idiot and I waited too long to get early bird. I don't know what I was thinking, but I fucked up. So I need to, um, yeah, I need to, I need to check in for my plane. So I will be taking a short little detour slash getting distracted so I can check in for my plane. Yeah, better late than never. I mean, hopefully I still get a decent boarding uh number or whatever the fuck you call it. Anyway, welcome to the Going Rounds podcast. uh right now PFL's regular season is ongoing. It is happening tonight. The entire prelims have happened. The main card, the first fight on the main card is getting ready to walk out as we speak. So I was watching the pre-fights, just like intros and stuff, and yeah, I kind of forgot it was on today. I was thinking it was on tomorrow for some reason. So it's on right now. I was watching it, so I might be going back and forth, kind of checking that out, because we are going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But yeah, I definitely need this drink today. This week hasn't been as bad as last week. Not as hectic, not as crazy. But in the back of my head the whole time, I'm like, Thursday and Friday are gonna be what gets me, even if the beginning of this week isn't crazy, because I knew I was gonna, all my prep work for this, doing technically and sound on Tuesdays. So I had that going, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, fun. But yeah, we've been doing drinks and stuff, so yeah, it's been good. But what? Huh? I just got a text and I don't know what it means. So hopefully my wife pays attention and tells me what that means. I'm lost. uh, what? We all have to check in for our flights, so it's a little hectic with that right now. But I started packing, so that's good. I got a little bit of a head start. My dog, my new puppy, was like puking a few minutes ago, a little while ago, and I don't even know why. I don't know if he ate something, but he seems fine now. Puked like twice, but he seems fine. So hopefully everything's good. Uh, Also, my alarm went off 2 minutes or a minute early. What the fuck? Anyway, whatever. I'm all over the place, but that's okay. As soon as I check in for my flight and click in, you can do it from here. What? Oh, there goes my alarm. Okay. Oh, I had my watch set for one time and my phone set for another. What a moron. Okay. So yeah, you're gonna have to watch me struggle through this. Not that it's hard. It's just I'm distracted. I'm doing other things. I probably shouldn't have these fights playing on the TV next to me, but whatever. Um, let's see. Okay. Uh, yeah. Looks like, man, I really should have done better at this. Why am I dumb? I'm not seeing it. Oh, stupid. Here we go. Oh shit. It's 7:05. Hurry up. I got to check in. I'm checking in. Ah, sweet. I got 8:29. All right. Not bad. Not bad. Hopefully everyone else in my family took care of it. Holy shit. I even forgot and I didn't jump in right at the moment. So, um let me see here, cuz I need to make sure that everyone's getting what they need. Uh Yeah. 8:35. Okay. I got mine too. Cool. I got ahead of her. That's hilarious. Yeah, nothing like trying to do this shit on the podcast like a moron. But I mean, it's just the time, you know. I was supposed to have gotten the fucking I was supposed to have gotten the early bird and I fucked up. Um I didn't realize you had to do it by a certain time beforehand. So that fucked me up. Um so yeah, I just waited too long like a dumbass. But yeah. Cool. Hopefully they got it. Looks like they did. Everybody got it. Hell yeah. Okay, perfect. All right, now I can stop being that. If you fly, if you travel and you take a flight, you probably know my struggle right then. Especially because I'm making sure everybody else gets what they need. Thankfully, it looks like everybody has their boarding passes, so we're good to go. So back to the Going Rounds podcast. The first fight of the PFL is about to start. As far as everything else, yeah, that's what's going on right now, man. Yeah, and next week's gonna be a short week for me. I'm gonna be gone Monday. That's when I'll be coming back from Vegas, and then Friday I'll be leaving again. It's just fuck, man. This is a hectic ass week, but it's all good. We're gonna have some fun. I know. I can't wait. I need this little short vacation I got going on for this weekend. A little bit of work and then another short vacation, kinda. So it's all gonna be fun. I get to drink everywhere I go, get to hang out and have a good time with people I love. So that's what the fuck I need right now, and I'm happy about it. My biggest concerns are the dogs. Like I have to leave our new puppy and Benny with my daughter's girlfriend, which is fine. I just don't want to overwhelm her. She also has work. My pops is gonna help out and come check on the dogs too, thankfully. So I appreciate that, Pops, if you're listening. He likes to listen in the beginning. But and then the weekend after that, both the kids are gonna help with the dogs, so that's cool. So just too much packed into like a week and a half's worth of time, but I'm gonna have fun, so it's gonna be good, and hopefully I'll have some good stories when I come back next week. There'll still be a podcast. UFC 300 is coming up, and we have fuck. I wanted to do a watch party so bad, but I am gonna be at a music festival, and Jelly Roll's gonna be there on Saturday, so I'm gonna be like watching my phone, watching him, watching my phone. It's gonna shit. I don't know why I do this to myself, but there's no way I can miss UFC 300. We're gonna talk about that here in a minute, just because I have some thoughts and stuff, and it is coming up, and everything that's been happening lately is just leading up to it. So we're gonna get into that too, and then I got some other combat sports news. We're gonna look at what happened, a little recap of UFC on ESPN 54. There was some crazy shit going on during those fights, and then we have UFC Vegas 90. Fucking Apex again, but some decent fights on this card, and it's just all leading us up to UFC 300. And I know I've said that every week, but that's really what it is. All these are just placeholders, just taking up the time, keeping us entertained, fighting the oh my god, my cameras are going insane, but just fighting everything, the urge to just go nuts until 300 gets here. So let's just get into it. Let's start talking about combat sports news. Oh damn, my puppy's freaking out there. Here we go. Combat sports news. Let's get into it. And I'm gonna start off with the the controversial Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. So we got a little bit of news this past week, but I don't know. Like, is it confirmed? Is it true 100%? I don't know. I heard Tyson talking about, yeah, they're calling it an exhibition for now, but I'm going out there to fight and to have a real fight. We're going in there to fight together. Hey, my mom. I miss you on your trip and enjoy your special time again. Oh, thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. Yeah, us and the kids getting some, like, the core family time. We don't get to get that a lot. Not that I have anything against having the significant others around. I love them both as well, and we always have fun together. But this just worked out where they couldn't go, and we did a spare the moment thing. So it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna just try my best to not think of anything else and just enjoy and focus on my girls and have this good special time together. That, you know, something we've never really done at this point, so it's good. But yeah, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. So the rule set came out. You know, there was rumors flying around before about there being headgear for Jake Paul, but not for Mike Tyson. Jake Paul could take steroids, but Mike Tyson couldn't. All kinds of stupid shit. Tag team with Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Just dumb, man. Like, I don't know who the fuck thought that those things were real and legit, but those were the rumors. Well, now we have this thing that came out that says the new rules: 16-ounce gloves. Usually they're 10. So that's a difference. You know, they're maybe trying to pad it up, make sure nobody gets too injured. Are they trying to protect the 57-year-old Mike Tyson because he's older and Jake Paul's the young blood trying to come up and he's pretty legit and has good power and has knocked people out? Are they trying to protect Mike Tyson, or are they trying to protect Jake Paul because Mike Tyson is a fucking animal, and if he fights anywhere near like his pad work and bag work and everything we've seen of his training recently, Jake Paul has something to worry about. And we all know the animal that Mike Tyson was back in the day. Does he still have it in him to do that now? Can he be fast enough? Can he still have that power? I think so. So 16-ounce gloves is just to protect people, I assume. If this is all true, take this with a grain of salt. I haven't seen that it's been 100% confirmed. The only thing I've seen is at the moment it's being called an exhibition, and that's what I hate. I wanted it to be a professional bout, but who knows? Who knows what happens down the road? We still got a ways to go. But the other thing is 2-minute rounds instead of 3-minute rounds. Again, maybe protection there. May not have to go so long. It might protect one fighter over the other, or both at the same time. And then there's no winner unless there's a KO. So this is the contradictory thing here. If no one gets knocked out, it's considered a draw. So this is why it sucks when it's an exhibition. No, let's have a fucking real fight. Let's see who gets knocked the fuck out, or let's watch the war that can ensue, because that could be the thing. Maybe the lack of talent, experience, and knowledge that Jake Paul might have could be, you know, countered by Mike Tyson's age. You know, his age, he's aged so much. He hasn't had the ring time that Jake Paul has had recently. He's, you know, far removed from the boxing that he used to do, but he still trains and he still has it in him. It's like riding a bike for someone like Mike Tyson. So, you know, it counteracts each other. So why don't we just make this a real match and stop with the bullshit? But either way, each fighter must pass an EEG or EKG test. Well, that's obvious. I mean, that should be something that happens anyway before these fucking fights. So what are we doing here? Why is that even a point of contention? I don't even know. So this is just the news that came out this week. I've seen it everywhere. Everyone's debating whether it's true or not. I haven't seen a full-on confirmation on it. It is what it is. I'm gonna take it for what it says there. That's what I'm thinking the rules are for right now. We'll see what changes in the future. Again, they're not fighting till July on Netflix. It's going to be a big event. Maybe that's why they're doing this, because it's going to be on Netflix. But I think there's nothing like a true match, you know, sanctioned to go on your record, everything, instead of this bullshit exhibition stuff. But it is what it is. I guess we'll see how it goes. Moving the fuck on. UFC 300. So this is supposedly the poster for the event. Now, if you pay attention to my thumbnails, if you pay attention to things that I show, visuals that I show during the podcast, when I start talking about the event, I always put the poster up. Why? Because if you look behind me, you see the posters. Now you see on this side, right there, I always have trouble knowing where it is. UFC 100 right there. Okay, that's a poster. Has all the main fighters. The fucking, there's nothing crazy flashy about it or anything like that, but it shows something. UFC 300 with just fucking gold. First of all, UFC 200, that poster was pretty good too. But if they do what they did at UFC 200 with the mat in the cage and making it gold or yellow. It's supposed to be gold, but it was mustard yellow. It looked gross. If they do that again, and that's why they made the poster like this, I'm gonna be pissed. Okay. I saw some dope renders of like possibilities that people like throw, putting around on social media. I saw a black and gold one, main black with gold accents. That would be sick. You got title fights you got 2 title fights and a BMF title on the line for the 3 top fights of the card. So why not make it black and gold? That's a lot of championship fights there, even though the BMF title's not gold, it's more of a like silver type. But when it comes down to it, mainly black with gold accents is pretty fucking sick. That would be dope. Go to my social media. You'll see it there that I posted it. I believe on my Facebook page. I reposted that. And I said this would be dope. So go check that out. My social media is going on down on this side under the Going Rounds logo. And check it out. You'll see what I mean. It's pretty sick. I should have put the picture up here, but I didn't want anybody thinking that was what was going to be it. So supposedly this is the poster, okay? Everyone's bitching and complaining about this card, talking, including me. I was too at first. The main event isn't what everybody thought it would be. But when it comes down to it, I'm looking at the early fucking prelims, okay? We're going to go through this next week, but I just wanted a rundown real quick. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt, 2 former UFC champions, starting off the early fucking prelims at 3 p.m. That's the first fight. So get the fuck out of here if you think that that's not good enough, okay? Then you go Jim Miller versus Bobby Green. That's a fucking banger. All right, Jim Miller, this will be after he fought on UFC 100, UFC 200. Now he'll be fighting on UFC 300 against somebody like Bobby Green. Fuck yeah. Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. Jessica Andrade, former fucking UFC champion. All right, so there's three champs right there. 3 former champs. Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano for the end of the early prelims. That's going to be hot. I like that. Sadiq Youssef versus Diego Lopez. Yes, good fight. Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. All right, second fight on the regular prelims. Holly Holm, former UFC champion. Kayla Harrison, former PFL multi-champion. Just superstar fucking crazy. And this is her UFC debut. And she's on the fucking second fight of the prelim card. Like, get out of here. Kelvin Cater versus Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling, former champion. So that's 3, 4, 5 champs on the card right there. 4 of them being former UFC champions. Yuri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakic to round off the prelims. Yuri Prohaska, former champion. There's champs in almost every fucking fight of this card, okay? Main card. Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. All right. Yeah, that's going to be damn good. Bo Nickel barely gets out of the first round ever. Charles Oliveira versus Arman Sarukian. Charles Oliveira, former champion. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. Justin Gaethje, current BMF title holder. Max Holloway, former champion. Weili Zhang versus Yan Xiaonan. Zhang, current champion. Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. Alex Pereira, 2-time 2-division champion. Jamal Hill, former UFC champion. Look at all the fucking champions on this card. I kicked myself in the ass when I was like, wait a minute. Now that I think about it and I break this all down, this is going to be a dope ass card, which is why I hate that this event that I'm going to next weekend happened on the same fucking weekend. I want to be here. I want to be in front of this. I want to watch intently. I want to react in the moment. I want to do all that, and I hate that I can't. But again, I'm gonna have fun doing what I'm doing, so I got to be grateful for what I got. I'm lucky I get to be doing all this stuff, and to have this many exciting things going on. So I got to stop bitching about it. But this is why I'm so torn. I'm so torn. And if I don't have good enough service while I'm at this fucking event, and I can't have my phone in my hand and watch the fights happen in real time, I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to have to drink a lot. I'm going to drink a lot anyway. It is what it is. But anyway, don't bitch about this card. That's what I'm saying. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm here to tell you what to do. Don't bitch about this card. I'm going to stop bitching about it too. Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira could be a fucking banger, okay? But nothing is guaranteed. So that's a damn good fight. Let's watch what happens. They got a little bit of beef. Pereira doesn't even think that Jamal Hill deserves the title fight right now. Doesn't even think he's second in line or the number 2 fucking or the number 1 contender, whatever the fuck he said. Jamal Hill says, you watch and you watch closely, I'll knock him the fuck out. And that's big words for somebody who's only been knocked the fuck out by Israel Adesanya. And that was a cold ass knockout. So can Jamal Hill do it too? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, let's move on. PFL season starting right now. Prelim cards done. Uh-oh. What just happened? Why did my Stream Deck app close? That's weird. Okay, well. Oh, there it is. We're back. Wouldn't be right if I didn't have issues. So let's go back here. Let's get this started. There we go. Music's on. Let's go. PFL regular season starting today. And it's on ESPN Plus right now. The first fight has started for the main card. The let's see. The prelim card is over. And here was your lineup. So let's go through real quick and give a little bit of an update. Well, anyway, I'll actually probably go through these next week, but Bryce Meredith versus Ty Johnson, Lucas Brennan versus Dimitri Ivey, Chelsea Hackett versus Jenna Bishop, Kano Wannabe versus Shania Young, Steve Mowry versus Oleg Popov, Tyler Santos versus Ilara Joanne. What is that name? Blagoy Ivanov versus, man, it's hard to even say these guys' names. Mauricio Golm versus Daniel James. That was the prelim card. And the main fight, or the main card happening right now. Let's see. Let me go live here. And it looks like the first fight is over. That was Dakota Decheva versus Lisa Maldine. Shit. Is it just starting now? No way. That fight's over. It's got to be. Oh, yeah. It's over. So, anyway. Next, we have Liz Carmouche versus Juliana Velasquez in the women's flyweight division. Liz Carmouche being the former Bellator champion. Then you have Dennis Goltsov versus Linton Vassell. That should be a damn good fight right there. And then your main event, Ante Delija versus Valentin Moldavsky. Sounds like that's going to be a banger too. So these next 3 fights should be pretty damn good. Go back and check them out after the podcast. If you're watching now, stick with me. We got some stuff to talk about, but yeah, they're live right now. So I don't know if you got to watch one on your phone and the other on your TV, do it. But only if you're into it. Anyway, I'll be keeping up with that here and there as we go along. But that's it for the PFL. That's it for Combat Sports News. Just some things to go over, some things to get the show kicked off right. Let's get into the UFC on ESPN 54 that happened last Saturday. These past couple of cards, the posters have been pretty similar. The Rose Namajunas versus Manon Fiorot, that was kind of a red and gray with a little bit of black. This one's more just red and black, maybe some white in there, but that's it. But these are the posters I'm talking about when I say, you know, the posters are usually there's more to them, at least the faces of a couple of the fights happening. You see the 100 poster right there. You see that it looks like the top 3 fights are their faces are on the poster. That's kind of what we're used to. And that UFC 300 poster is just blank, just gold with UFC with 300 on it. Like, I hope they come up with something better than that. But yeah, UFC on ESPN 54. Aaron Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot. Oh, did I say? I said Namajunas versus Fiorot. It was Namajunas versus Hebas last week. But Blanchfield versus Fiorot was this past weekend. And Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley. There was a lot of weird shit going on during these fights. I'm gonna try to remember what fights were what. I didn't do well with prep this week because there's too much going on. Colin Lochrain versus Angel Pacheco. That was a men's bantamweight fight. Lochrain got the win there, unanimous decision. Jacob Malkoun versus Andre Petrosky, middleweight division for the men. Malkoun gets the win by TKO, soccer kick to the body. That's a hell of a way to win. Oh, this is it. This is the fucking fight. So this is the first weird thing. Second fight of the night on the prelims. What happens? Petrosky goes in for a double leg, or tries to go in, shoot for a takedown, and the motherfucker knocks himself out on Malkoun's knee. Malkoun kind of had his leg out, looking like maybe he I don't know, he was doing something. His leg was out, his knee was up, and Petrosky goes in for the shot and knocks himself out, basically, because next thing you know, he backs up and is just dazed and falls to the ground, covers up, and then Malkoun runs up to him, and that's where the soccer kick to the body comes up. Malkoun comes up like a fucking professional field goal kicker and kicks the fucking shit out of his body. So that was the first weird thing that happened. I mean, that's weird. I mean, that kind of shit has happened before, but not in a while, and that was just a strange way for that fight to end. So that was 39 seconds into the second round. Next, we had Ibo Aslan versus Anton Turkali. Aslan gets the win in the light heavyweight division by TKO in the third round. Dennis Bazooka, who I talked about being a Sarah Longo fighter, and he's been kind of having some bad luck here and there and not really getting, impressive fights and wins and stuff. He gets the win over Connor Matthews in the featherweight division. 22 seconds into the third round, TKO by punches. So good for Dennis Bazooka there. Julio Arce in a catchweight fight against Herbert Burns. Julio Arce gets the win by TKO there in the second round. Virna Jandiroba versus Lupi Godinez, which I was dead wrong on this one. My buddy Justin was asking me if it was a good pick to pick Lupi for the win here. I said yes. My bad, bro, because she lost by unanimous decision. Virna Jandiroba gets the win there. Godinez has been doing well, though, so I had confidence in her. Jandiroba, she hasn't fought the biggest competition out there, so I just figured against Godinez, she might not have a lot of luck there, and unfortunately, Godinez gets a loss, and my first bad pick there for Justin. My bad, bro. Nate the Train Landwehr versus Jamal Emmers. Nate the Train starts off getting his ass whooped in the beginning of the first round, turns it around 4 minutes and 43 seconds into the first round, gets a KO over Jamal Emmers, big time knockout. Nate the Train, blood all over his face, looking like a savage, and fucking wins. It was a great win for him, and I was happy to see it. I like Nate Landwehr. He's a badass. I like him. I don't know. There's just something about him that I like, and I think he handles himself well. He's always in a war. He's always getting his ass whooped for a little bit and turns it around and comes out with the win. And if it feels like I'm going through this fast, it's because I got a lot to do after this. So I don't mean to rush through it, but you know what? If I keep this at an hour flat, it just gives me some extra time. So it is what it is. Nothing crazy going on this week anyway, as far as combat sports goes. I went into the news in the beginning. That was really all there was anyway. So let's get to the main card of this one. We got Chidi Njokuani versus Rice McKee in the welterweight division, and Chidi Njokuani looking damn good in this fight. A lot of people were talking up Rise McKee, but Njokuani comes up. It was a split decision win, but he gets the win nonetheless. Rise McKee gave him a good fight, but Chidi just, did work with the striking, the kicks, the elbows. He's dangerous when he's on, and Rise McKee came up short this time. Split decision win for Chidi Njokuani. Let's move into the next fight. Kyle Nelson versus Bill Algeo. And I had all the confidence in Algeo in this one, but Nelson's a fucking savage too. And he came out looking for that win, headhunting and connecting with his punches. Big punches, heavy hands. As you see here, landing precisely, getting the temple there, the chin here, and gets the finish by TKO by punches 4 minutes into the first round. So good on Nelson. I picked that one wrong. I don't think I even made picks last week. I didn't, but I was thinking and Chidi Njokuani for that first fight, which I would have gotten right. I was going Bill Algeo in this fight, so I would have gotten this one wrong. But moving on to the next, Nursultan Ruziboyev versus Sendrikas Dumas. On this one, I would have picked Dumas. Honestly, that's who I was leaning towards. But Ruziboyev in the middleweight division comes up with a TKO win by punches in the first round against Dumas. This is a nasty uppercut here. Dumas has that crazy hair, and when it comes down to it, that hair like that waving around makes those punches look even more dramatic. But I think in this case, Ruziboyev was really landing and landing flush with a lot of power behind it. So yeah, Ruziboyev just catching Dumas's head with every one of his strikes, and he comes up with a first round finish here. Here's another nasty uppercut right there with the right. But yeah, Ruziboyev looking like a killer in this one. And Dumas just has that look like he's a killer, and fucking not this night. Unfortunately for him, he gets a loss in the first round. And you know what I'm noticing? That was at least two first round TKOs in a row. Then you had a decision, then you had another first round KO, then a decision, then four other KOs in a row. So a lot of finishes in this card. Not a lot of crazy decisions. So that's what makes for a good card right there. So this card was pretty good, considering I was kind of downplaying it a little bit, and that's my mistake. But you never know what you're going to get with cards like this. The in-between cards between the pay-per-views, not big headliners and stuff, but you did have some big names in here, including Chris Weidman, former UFC champion, going against another Silva. He became a champion beating Anderson Silva, and then rematches to defend the title for the first time and beats him again. So he's 2-0 against Silva's. And then here he is later on in his career fighting against another Silva, and winds up getting a technical decision, a unanimous technical decision. And the reason for that is part of some of that craziness that I was talking about happening in some of these fights. I don't remember what other fight there was down further on the card, but like I said, the one, what's his face? I forgot his name already. Anyway, knocking himself out on that knee, going for a takedown. So that was one crazy thing. There was some other eye pokes happening down at the bottom of the card. But Chris Weidman, this initially looked like a TKO win for him. Looked like he stopped Silva right here. He dropped him, so it seemed, and then Silva covers up and Weidman jumps on top, ground and pound, and finishes him. The ref calls it off. Looks like a TKO win for Chris Weidman. He celebrates. Everybody's happy. But then we kind of see. So here's the thing. Silva was complaining about an eye poke earlier in the fight. The end of the fight happened 2 minutes and 18 seconds into the third round. But Weidman won the first and second round easily, without a doubt. I mean, he got touched a little bit, and I was a little worried while I was watching it, because I'm like, ooh, those strikes that he's eating right now are not looking good for Weidman. And I was cringing every time I watched him get hit, because I'm just like, fuck, man, he hasn't shown the strongest of chins lately. And, you know, I was just worried. I was a little worried because he talked about the fact that he might retire if things don't go well in the cage. I was hoping, if anything, if he decided to retire, that he would retire on a win. So I was hoping he got a win and just went out on a high note here. He's in Atlantic City. He's like 4-0 there. The crowd loved him. There was a big pop for him, everything. And it just seemed like the perfect way. But instead, you get this imperfect kind of ending to this fight, because while initially it seemed like a TKO win for Chris Weidman, he gets the finish and everything. Like I said, Silva was complaining of the eye pokes, and here's kind of what happened. I mean, the first one was legit. All of them were legit, really. But the thing is, you know, they all seem pretty accidental, even though a lot of people are talking mad shit about the fact that it seemed like Chris Weidman was intentionally putting the fingers out there to eye poke. He's using his hand to, you know, create distance or you know, measure the distance, and he kind of was doing it with both hands, fingers stretched out, you know, John Jones style. But the thing is, you know, there's all this talk about the gloves and how they naturally keep your hand straight. You actually have to work to get that fist, which is weird because you're fighting. So you should be halfway to a fist. You shouldn't have to put effort into getting a fist. And instead, apparently with the gloves, with the design that they've been this way forever, they did round them off a little bit, I believe a few years back. But like in Pride, in maybe even Bellator, I don't remember if Bellator does it, but in other organizations, they have the more curved gloves, so your fingers are never stretched out, because naturally the glove makes your fingers curl down. So if you do reach out, you're never going to have your fingers outstretched like this, where you get an eye poke at, you know, accidentally because people are running into them, you know what I mean? So you're measuring the distance, and you kind of have a half a fist already. So that it's a problem, and I hope that the UFC starts to see, you know, I mean, how many fucking eye poke finishes are we gonna have before they realize that maybe we should fucking fix this, right? But who is it, Trevor Whitman? No, yeah, Trevor Whitman has gloves that are perfect. Joe Rogan talks about it all the time, and Gaethje talks about it, and he's like, you know what, you don't have to use our gloves, because he's a part of designing them, but he's like, you don't have to use our gloves, but let's use something like it so we stop with all these fucking eye pokes. And, you know, it seemed like it got a little better when they did seem to round the gloves off a little bit, but still, all of the fighters say it takes actual effort to make a fist. And that doesn't make sense when you're in a fucking striking sport where punching is the main thing that happens. That's like, you know, it's like boxing, having a glove where you have to actually force to make a fist. It doesn't make sense. So just another controversial thing that happens in the UFC, something else that needs to be fixed, and I hope that it catches on soon and they do a little revision of these gloves that's a little more drastic than what they did in the past. So anyway, with these eye pokes, Chris Weidman seemed to have thrown a left jab and then a right, and then he actually finished up with another left hook that dropped Silva, but Silva had covered up already as he's standing up because of the eye pokes, and he's trying to just go down. That's kind of what he kept doing. He just like would flop to the ground like the basketball players do when somebody like whiffs their hand past them, or like soccer players where somebody just runs by them and then they go, oh, and they fucking flop to the ground and act like they just got fucking, you know, brutalized with a baseball bat, even though nothing happened to them. So that's kind of what Silva was doing. So, I mean, there's things that happen on both sides of this fight that they can both be blamed for. The way Silva handled it is not the way to handle it. And it almost seemed like he was looking for an out. But at the same time, Weidman, even though he did say, you know, they were accidental eye pokes, but the way that Silva was reacting was not proper either. The biggest thing is Chris Weidman got eye poked as well. And this is the result of that eye poke. That is fucking nasty. I mean, you can barely see where his pupil is because of how dark red, full of blood his eyeball is. I mean, first of all, look at the black eye. Good God. But that eyeball is disgusting. That is disgusting. And it's a damn shame because Weidman gets a thumb. He said he caught a thumb to the eyeball, and he's like, I winced, but I didn't stop. I didn't flop to the ground. I didn't ask the ref to fucking stop the fight and let me have time. Like, I didn't do any of that. I powered through it. And Silva was catching fingers under the eye, you know, while some of them were eye pokes. Don't get me wrong. But he was catching punches to the face and flopping like it was a fucking, you know, like that he was trying out for, you know, some kind of play where he has to drop to the ground on purpose and act like he's hurt. So I don't know, man. It's hard to tell what happened here. So the TKO gets changed to a technical decision, a unanimous decision win for Chris Weidman, but it's called a technical decision because basically they went back and reviewed it, and because of the eye pokes and because they seemed accidental, they decided, okay, we have to, after a certain amount of time, after like half the fight is over, basically, if something like this happens, they go to the scorecards. Chris Weidman was winning on all the scorecards for all the judges, having the first and second round completely for him, and then he was winning in the third round as well. So it becomes a technical decision in a unanimous way, basically. So that's what happened there. Like I said, strange shit going on this night. And yeah. So then we get to the co-main event, Joaquin Buckley versus Vicente Luque. This one was strange too. And I mean, it started off just a back and forth, you know, pretty decent fight. I was doubting Buckley because Luque has looked like a world beater lately, and everyone's always talked about how good Luque is and how much talent he has. And Joaquin Buckley has shown, you know, bits and pieces of having that good of, you know, that talent, but he's inconsistent. He suffered some losses. You know, he had that highlight reel spinning back kick to Impa Kasangane. But, you know, he hasn't looked that good in you know, in the past, and just recently he's kind of been surging a bit, and it's good for him. But in this fight, I mean, he looked damn good, and he crisp, clean striking, you know, landing good punches, just working Luque. And in the 3 minutes and 17 seconds of the second round, Buckley, you know, lands a few strikes, and it just seems like Luque gets a delayed reaction to one of the strikes and just drops to the ground and covers up, turtles up. Joaquin Buckley jumps on top of him, ground and pounds, and gets a TKO win by punches. So, you know, there was a lot of controversy about that one because of the way Luque dropped and stuff like that. So it's unfortunate that Buckley has to deal with people doubting that was a legit win for him. But Luque, you know, I haven't heard or seen much from it, but Luque did drop, and he did seem pretty hurt. So second round TKO for Joaquin Buckley for the win. And now we get to the main event with the women. Erin Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot. Now, I talked about how good Erin Blanchfield is with her grappling and wrestling, you know, world class. And she just looked damn good in her previous fights. But Manon Fiorot is a heavy hitting woman. She doesn't have a lot of KOs, but at the same time, you know, she just hits damn hard. Like, and we've seen a lot of examples of it. And a lot of people were downplaying the fact that she, you know, her skills when it comes to grappling and wrestling, especially with a high level, you know, wrestler like Erin Blanchfield. But in this fight, Manon Fiorot just did work, basically. I completely skipped over like 4 buttons. That's dumb. I mean, Erin Blanchfield had her moments for sure. She landed some strikes, and let me see, where am I at? I went down. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I mean, she landed a little bit here and there, but she just didn't look like herself. Didn't look like the dominating fighter that she's been in the past. And, you know, Manon Fiorot is just a different type fighter than what she's used to. As I almost lose my rogue. Too much talking, kind of forgot it was there. Speaking of, I always do this on the Technically Unsound podcast. This one's 3 milligram, but I only like the wintergreen in 3. I usually do 6s with like mango or berry or something. For some reason, the wintergreen I just like better in 3 milligrams. So that's what I'm doing right now. But normally it's 6 mils. Anyway, enough of my vices. But yeah, Aaron Blanchfield with the big left here, a big kick to the body, which she was landing those. I do remember that from on her part of this fight. She was landing a lot of body kicks, and I thought for sure it was going to catch up to Manon Fiorot, but she weathered it in a good way. And she came back to land some of those big strikes, and she did defend the wrestling pretty well, and she showed that she could go into the deeper rounds and actually survive, because in the past it looked like she kind of might not do well past the third round. But she definitely showed what she could do here. Not fully landing that kick. Aaron Blanchfield got her hands up in there a little bit of a block, but needless to say, I guarantee she felt it. And in the end, Manon Fiorot comes out with the dominating win, unanimous decision over Aaron Blanchfield, and now she's wanting that title shot against the winner of Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. But the only problem with that's going to be a fight that's not going to happen for a while, because they're going to be coaching the Ultimate Fighter. So yeah, it's going to be a while before they fight, and supposedly not till September in the Sphere. So I mean, Manon Fiorot, do you want to go out and risk losing and having one more fight in between there, showing improving and just concrete confirmation that you deserve the title shot, or do you just wait it out? Because damn, that's a long time. Not only do you have to wait till September for that fight to happen, then you got to wait for however long after for them to recover, depending on how the fights go and all that. So it's a tough one, but we'll see what happens in the future. Let's move on to the last piece of content here, which would be UFC Vegas 90 happening this Saturday. Actually, I should look over to the PFL fights real quick and see what's happening there. Looks like we're getting someone's walking out. I was hoping to see something quickly. Oh, hold on, I'm behind. There we go. Liz Carmouche versus Velasquez still happening right now. Looks like ending up the second round. Liz Carmouche is on top, inside control, trying to throw some knees. But that's what I would have expected from Liz Carmouche, to be on top in a dominant position. But the second round's ending right now, 20 seconds away. Anyway, back to UFC Vegas 90. This is happening at the Apex, of course. So the only good news about the Apex is before, especially guys on the undercard, were having issues with even getting tickets for any of their family members or anything like that to attend the fights in the Apex, because of the exclusivity of attending fights there, and the minimal number of audience members and stuff like that. So because that's why I don't like it, because it's just not like a normal fight with all the fans out in the stands and all that. But when it comes down to it, that's what they're doing. It's fucking the UFC, and they do what they want to do. But now a bit of news came out recently that they're allowing every fighter to have 4 tickets for family members. But there's a catch, and that catch is these family members have to leave as soon as that fight's over. Now, most of the time they're going to want to, because the person they were there watching fight, they're going to probably want to go to the back and talk to them and meet up with them and congratulate them or console them on their loss, whatever it is. But either way, at least they get to have their people present, and whoever wants to come and support them, family members and stuff, they get to have them in the venue and watch them fight. So that's good, and I'm happy. It's a step in the right direction. So let's look at the early prelims here. Not a lot of names that are very recognizable down at the bottom. Starting with the women's bantamweight fight, Nora Cornell versus Melissa Dixon. Men's middleweight, Dylan Budka versus Cesar Almeida. Dan Argueta versus Jean Matsumoto. Dan Argueta was on the UFC Unfiltered podcast, and I mean, it was a pretty interesting interview with him. Then we got, why is my mouse freaking out? Okay, women's strawweight, Piera Rodriguez versus Cynthia Calvillo. Cynthia Calvillo looked like she was going to be damn good in the beginning, but she kind of hit a skid. 9-6 in overall. I mean, it's a winning record, but yeah, I kind of expected a lot more out of her. So we'll see. Looks like she's trying to make her way back up here. So there's that fight. Pedro Falcao versus Victor Hugo Silva in the men's bantamweight division. Norma Dumont versus Jermaine Durandamy. Jermaine Durandamy being a former featherweight title holder against Norma Dumont. And this is a bantamweight fight. That should be a decent fight. Court McGee versus Alex Morono. Court McGee's been around for a long ass time, man. Against Alex Morono, that should be a pretty good fight. And then we get to the main card. And here's the first fight of the main card. Trevor Peek versus Charlie Campbell. Trevor Peek is 29 years old, 9-1 in the MMA, 2-1 in the UFC. 8-0 in KO TKOs. No wins or losses in submissions, but 1-1 in decisions, and he's coming off a win. So, with only 3 fights in the UFC, I mean, he's only lost once overall, and that loss being to Jose Mariscal. But he's coming off a win over Muhammad Yahya. That was a unanimous decision. So, yeah, it looks like his way to win would be KO TKO for sure. Just looking at all of his previous fights and looking at those records. Only 1 loss by decision, but only 1 win by decision as well. So his opponent, Charlie Campbell, 28 years old, 8-2 in MMA, 1-0 in the UFC, 6-1 in KO TKOs. Again, nothing in the submissions, losses or wins. He's 2-1 in decisions, and he's coming off a win as well. I didn't even get into Trevor Peek there, but yeah, with those heavy hands, those big strikes, he tends to win more by KO TKO, as I was saying before. So that's something. This might be an exciting fight, considering the fact that both of them are more prominent to win in the KO TKO category here. No submissions, wins or losses for either of them, which means you might not be seeing this fight go to the ground at all. Should be a stand-up war, which means excitement for sure. Looking at Campbell, he's on a 2-fight win streak. Only one of those fights being in the UFC, hence the 1-0 in the UFC and the one win I only put down there. But he is on a 2-fight win streak. CFFC being the organization he was with previously. But his last 6, his last 6 fights, he's 5-1, and they're win or lose, they're all by TKO or KO. So I would say if you're gonna bet this fight, bet it to not go the distance. It's looking like it's not gonna go past like 2.5. So there's another prop bet you can make, and then it's a toss up. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win the fight is the toss up, because both of them like to finish fights, and yeah, that's what seems like. Those props seem to be hot for this one. So I don't have any of the odds here in front of me. I've been slacking on that. I didn't even make my picks this week again. Last week was rough because of work. This week, just too much going on. And I have to make picks next week because I'm going to actually bet on those fights. So I got to make some picks next week. But let's move on to the next fight. We got Walter Walker versus Lukas Brzezinski, I think. It's tough. But Walter Walker is 26 years old, 11-0 in MMA, undefeated overall. Shit, that's good. This is his UFC debut. 6-0 in KO TKOs, 1-0 in submissions, and 4-0 in decisions. Technically he's on an 11 fight win streak because he's undefeated in MMA. So that's why I wrote that down there. But yeah, his opponent is Lukas Brzezinski, I think. 31 years old, 8-4 in MMA, 0-3 in the UFC. So, ooh, that's a tough opponent to be coming in. You know, of course, there's going to be the UFC jitters that you have to take into consideration there. Higher competition technically, depending on where Walker's coming from. But I mean, at least Bezetsky, I don't know how to say his name, but at least he's had the experience in the cage fighting in the UFC. He's got 3 fights there, even though he hasn't won one yet. So he's looking to get his first official UFC win, with Walker looking to make a splash in his debut here. So Bezetsky is 5-2 in KO TKOs, 2-0 in submissions, and 1-2 in decisions. So just looking at things here, you know, you're looking at Walker, which I couldn't find much on him. That's why this was like one of the only pictures I really found. Fought in Titan FC. That's his last win right there against Alex Nicholson. But yeah, 1, 2, let's see, his last 4 fights were all ended by KO or TKO. So he's looking to end it on the feet for sure. And then you got Brzezinski, who has not had a win in the UFC, 0-3, but that's against Martin Brudet, Carl Williams, and Waldo Cortez Acosta. So 2 decisions and a KO loss there. So I mean, it doesn't look like either one of these guys want to go to decision, so it might be looking like a KO TKO win for one of these guys. We'll see if Brzezinski comes out wanting to see how bad he wants to get that first win in the UFC, and this might mean a cut for him if he doesn't get a win here. He is a Dana White's Contender Series guy. That was a no contest though in that one, which it was overturned, and I'm not sure why. But anyway, got him into the UFC, and yeah, he's 0-3. I'm surprised he's still around. So he'll be welcoming in Walter Walker, and we'll see how bad he wants to that first UFC win. But Walker's definitely going to be looking to make an impression on his first fight in the UFC. So let's move on to Ignacio Bahamondes versus Christos Giagos. Bahamondes, 26 years old, 14-5 in MMA, 3-2 in the UFC, 9-0 in KO TKOs, 1-2 in submissions, 4-3 in decisions, and he's coming off a loss. Christos Giagos is 20-11. That's a hell of a lot more fights there. In MMA, 5-5 in the UFC. Oof, that's tough. 8-2 in KO TKOs, 4-6 in submissions, and 8-3 in decisions. But he's coming off a loss as well. Bahamondes is his loss was to Ludovic Klein by unanimous decision back in August of last year. But before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak with wins over Roosevelt Roberts, Zhu Rong, and Trey Ogden. He had a KO, a submission, and a decision win in those last 3. This picture you see here is this crazy ass spinning back kick that he landed against Roosevelt Roberts. Spinning wheel kick, I mean. But yeah, that was nasty. That's a hell of a, I mean, go back and watch that one. That's a hell of a finish there. It's a great highlight for him. So, I mean, he's pretty well-rounded. And, yeah, I mean, Giagos has to be careful with those strikes because Bahamondes definitely comes out to win. And he can do it all. He can submit you. He can TKO, KO you. But Giagos coming off a loss as well to Daniel Zellhuber, where, you know, as soon as he got past the first minute of the second round, he seemed to have gassed a bit and starts going for takedowns and stuff. Winds up getting himself in an anaconda choke by Zellhuber, and Zellhuber locks it in for a submission in the second round. So before that, he had a win over Ricky Glenn by KO, and then he lost to Thiago Moises and Armin Tsarukyan. I mean, he's fought some decent opponents. Drakkar Klose, he lost to. Sarukian, Thiago Moises, all the bigger names he's lost to. So Zell Huber as well. So I mean, if Bahamondes is the real deal, I mean, he's gonna prove it here, because Yago seems to lose against the guys that are seem to be on the up and up and on the rise. So this should be a pretty good fight, I think. First round and a half, I think, would be really exciting. And if it doesn't end there, then you're probably going to see Bahamondes, doing work and probably wind up with a submission win there. So there's a little bit of insight into maybe a good prop bet. Moving on, though, Morgan Charrier against Jose Mariscal. Charrier, I think that's how you say his name. 29 years old, 19-9, 1-0 in the UFC, 11-0 in KO TKOs, 3-1 in submissions, 5-8 in decisions. So this guy does not want to go to decisions because he has a losing record there. He's coming off a win. Mariscal is 31 years old, 15-6 overall, 2-0 in the UFC, 7-3 in KO TKOs, 3-0 in subs, and 5-3 in decisions. He's on a 2-fight win streak. So just judging by those stats, I mean, Charrier is going to be looking for that KO TKO win for sure. But if it goes to decision or possibly submission, I mean, they're kind of even in those. Mariscal has a winning record, though, in decisions, and Charrier seems to lose more than he wins. But as far as he's concerned, he's actually on a 4-fight win streak, but only one of those is in the UFC. So this is only his second fight. But that win was Manalo Zekni. That was a KO win in the first round for him. Before that, he had 2 other TKO wins in a decision. So, like I said, KO TKO is the way he's looking to win always. He was in Cage Warriors previously. But you got Yagos in I'm sorry. I just pressed the wrong button. God damn it. I did it again. There we go. Okay. So Mariscal is his opponent, and I'm losing track here. Mariscal is on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, but he actually has put together 5 wins in a row. He was in Cage Warriors, Combate Globo, and LFA before, but he has a win over Trevor Peek, who's fighting lower in this card, and then a win over Jack Jenkins as well. That was his last win. TKO and decision for those 2 wins, but then TKO wins in the 3 previous fights. So this could be a pretty good stand-up fight here. But as you can see, Mariscal has some good submissions as well. I feel like this might be a pretty damn good fight, actually. Let's move on to Alexander Hernandez versus Damon Jackson. And this fight I'm looking forward to for sure. I feel like this one's going to be a good one. Hernandez is 31 years old, 14-7, 6-6 in the UFC, 6-3 KO TKOs, 2-1 in submissions, and 6-3 in decisions. He is coming off a loss, but Damon Jackson's coming off of 2 losses in a row. He's 35 years old, 22-6 overall, 5-3 in the UFC. Pretty even in the KO TKOs there, 4-4, 15-1 in submissions. So there's a notable stat right there. 3-1 in decisions, and like I said, coming off a 2-fight losing streak. Let's see. Alex Hernandez is his loss was to Bill Algeo. That was a unanimous decision loss to Algeo back in October of last year. He does have a win over Jim Miller, and I believe he has a win over Cowboy Cerrone, if I remember correctly. No, maybe not. Wrong Hernandez? What the fuck am I thinking? Oh, no, he did. Oh, no, he lost to Cowboy. Why did I think he won? Weird. Anyway, he has a loss to Drew Dober, but a win over Francisco Trinaldo. A loss to Thiago Moises. But yeah, I mean, his record isn't the best, but he's got a good mix of decision, TKO, and submissions. So, you know, you kind of get a little bit of everything from Alex Hernandez. But Damon Jackson has been involved in some pretty exciting fights in the past. He is on a 2-fight losing streak with losses over to Billy Quarantillo and Dan Ige. That Dan Ige one was nasty. That was a nasty KO for Dan Ige over Damon Jackson. But Jackson had a great TKO win over Pat Sabatini back in September 22. Before those two losses, he was on a 4-fight win streak in the UFC with wins over Sabatini, Dan Argueta, Camuelo, Kirk, and Charles Rosa. Another, lots of decisions, a mix, of decisions, TKO, and KO submissions. He does have a lot of submissions on his record, though, so that might be what he's looking for to finish this fight. Moving on to the co-main event. Ah, shit. Something's fucked up. I always mess something up here. Damn it. Oh, maybe that's why. Because I didn't push the last button there. Why did I do? Okay, whatever. Here we go. Brendan Allen. Oh, this is the main event. I'm sorry. Damon Jackson versus Alex Hernandez. This is the co-main. I'm falling behind here. I'm looking at the time though, thinking shit, I was gonna be done by 8, and now I'm dragging it out here. But main event, Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis. This should be a pretty decent fight here. Brendan Allen's always involved in a war, and Chris Curtis is down for it. So Brendan Allen's 28 years old, 23-5 overall, 11-2 in the UFC. So he's got a lot of fights. 5-2 in KO, TKOs, 14-1 in submissions. A lot of submissions there. 4-2 by decision, and he's on a 6-fight win streak. So he's hot right now. Chris Curtis is 36 years old, 31-10 overall. These two guys have a lot of fights in between them. 28-41. That's a lot of that's over 60 fights. 5-2 in the UFC. 17-1 in KO, TKOs. So it's classic kind of striker versus grappler. 1-1 in submissions, 13-8 in decision. So a lot of wins by KO, TKO, but a lot of wins by decision as well. And he's on, and his last fight was a win. Brendan Allen he's pretty well rounded though. I mean, he does have good striking. And let's see, he's on a 6-fight win streak. Sam Alvey, Jacob Malkoun, Christoph Jocko, Andre Muniz, Bruno Silva, and Paul Craig. Those are all names I know. So I mean, pretty good opponents there. A lot of those guys, all those guys have good fights under them and good wins. So that speaks highly for Brendan Allen. And yeah, a lot of those wins are by a lot of those wins. 1, 2, 3, 4. His last 4 fights were wins by submission. And third round, first round seems to be the way to go with him. He lost to Chris Curtis in the past though, so this is a rematch. Chris Curtis beat him in the second round by TKO back in December of 21. That was his last loss. So he's trying to avenge his loss here. He's on that 6-fight win streak. So he's trying to make Chris Curtis the 7th while getting that loss back. But like I said, pretty well-rounded, big strikes overall. That's against Bruno Silva. Paul Craig here landing. And then the big submission there. I don't even know who that is. Damn it. Andre Muniz, maybe? I think so. But yeah, like I said, the last 4 wins were by submission for him. So he's looking to get this to the ground and get a submission in there for him. But Chris Curtis, great striker. Lots of wins by KO, TKO. But if he can get it to decision, he's got a pretty good record there as well. Big strike here against Kelvin Gastelum. And Chris Curtis is a training and sparring partner of Sean Strickland. So he's no stranger to crazy and getting punched a lot. So I'm sure they get into wars in the gym. His last win was against Marc-Andre Barrios. That was a split decision win for him. And that was back in January of this year. He had a no contest against Imavov. And then he did lose to Kelvin Gastelum by unanimous decision there. But he has a win over Joaquin Buckley. He's kind of a back and forth fighter because he's got wins, loss, no contest, win. So, but, you know, he does have the win over Brendan Allen before. And, you know, win over Phil Haas. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of fights, a lot of, damn, I lost track of what I was saying. A lot of experience in there, but he is more of a stand-up fighter, more of a striker. So we'll see which way this one goes, and you know, see who pulls off the win here and how he gets it done. I figure this has a good chance of getting finished, but I don't know. I mean, Chris Curtis has a way of making the fights go all rounds and getting that decision win. So one way or another, I feel like it should be a war, though. It should be a good fight. Not a bad card, but that's it. So don't forget to watch that tomorrow or Saturday night. And I'll be keeping up as I'm walking around in Vegas. So that is a Apex card. So shit, who knows? Maybe we get to, you know, see a fighter roaming the casino or the strip somewhere. That'd be pretty dope. Either way, that about does it for me. I got some packing to do. I got some other shit to take care of, and I gotta go see what's going on out in the rest of the house. But yeah, don't forget to catch me here next week, going around YouTube channel, same place, same time, 7 p.m. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media going on down there. Facebook and Instagram is where I'm the most active, but I put some TikToks out there every once in a while. I'm not that active on X, but I do have an account there, so go follow me everywhere. And Facebook and Instagram, though, is where I get most of my content from. And if you don't want to follow every page that gives you anything, just follow me, and I'll aggregate it all for you and show you the good stuff. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Do all the cool shit for YouTube. Help me grow the channel. Definitely like this if you're watching it now. And subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell so you always know when I'm going live or when I release a new video. And I'll catch you next week. Hopefully I don't drink too much or party myself out. I got a lot of partying to do this in the upcoming week. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll catch you next time. That's it. I'm out. Peace.